So I'm going to start with Mr. Tassby. If you can tell me if this agreement is pursuant to a written or oral lease.
Could you repeat the last part? It cut out.
Yes, is this lease oral lease or written lease?
It's written and also oral. So it was written, but it wasn't signed.
So a written lease, unsigned, and when you say it was oral, also meaning there were amendments to the agreement that were oral, or are you just saying it's oral because it wasn't signed?
There were amendments moving forward that were not written. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And what is the monthly rent amount according to the lease?
The monthly rent is $950.
$950. And when did this lease begin?
The lease began in April of 2020, April of last year, 2025.
April of 2025. Were there any oral amendments to the lease to the rent amount?
Yes.
Okay. What was that oral amendment?
So there have been two. One of them was where, in exchange for assisting with repairs and renovations to the house, the tenant did not have to pay the full amount um, because of helping out with upkeep and maintenance of the house. Also, the second one
Let me
was
stop right there on the first one just so I understand. When you say the full amount, what was the tenant to pay?
so we came up with the agreement well, this one was for a specific time period. This one was for between, I believe, February and March. The agreement was to just pay 600 under the conditions that the tenant would bring a washer and dryer. I guess that was something that he had was going to do, and I figured it wouldn't make sense to pay the full amount if that was something that you were going to bring to the house.
Okay.
So we said if you can washer and dryer, then you just have to pay 6 instead of the 950.
Okay, and that's 600 per month for February and March, or 600 total?
600 for the month of February, which is when the whole thing with the washer and dryer and stuff was happening.
Okay, so the tenant was to only have to pay $600 for February if they brought a washer and dryer. Is the washer and dryer staying with the landlord?
It wasn't received.
Okay, I'm asking though, the agreement was in this agreement because you're giving him a discount on the
Mm-hmm.
rent. Is that because it was to stay with the landlord?
I guess so. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that there was an agreement, the amendment for February and March. What was the March amendment?
The March Amendment was for that was the month that we were just in. That was for honestly for both those.
Okay,
I
so
think halfway through February, we had just kind of talked and we figured, well, if we can't the full amount, we can work on this basically.
okay, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So you're saying for February and March, he was only supposed to pay $600 per month, or $600 for both February and March total? A total of $600 for
For
two
the
months,
month
or $600 per month?
For the month of February, he only had to pay $600.
Okay.
For the month of March, the amount had defaulted back to the original amount of $950. Once the agreements were not met from the previous month.
Gotcha. However, if he had met the agreement for the washer and dryer, what was the March payment to be?
It would have still been 600.
Got it. That's what, okay. All right. And then you also said for repairs and renovations as well. So was that included in February and March discount?
Um, That was the option. So either repairs or renovations or to bring the washer and dryer, but
Got
neither
it.
of which happened.
Neither which happened. All right. Was there specifically something that he was supposed to repair or renovate?
For that specific month, no.
Okay, so now I'm confused. He said he could either pay the rent, do repairs and renovations, or bring the washer and dryer. But you're saying there was nothing specifically that he could do for the repairs and renovations?
So the house is a little bit of an older house.
Okay.
So there is ongoing repairs and renovations that can be done for the house, but
So
I
nothing
for
specific.
anything. No, I didn't ask him for anything specific that month.
Okay, so basically what I'm understanding is he could just tell you that he did some renovations or repairs and you would accept that in lieu of the rent. Okay. All right, and then what was the second oral amendment to the rent?
The second oral amendment was from the months of the beginning of the lease of April of last year till December of last year. Um, there was an issue with payments, so it was deferred. So the agreement was we will just start with January and move on, and we're not going to worry about last year's uh, rent or anything of the sort, and we're just going to start fresh.
Okay, so my understanding that the lease began in April of 2025. However, there was concessions that allowed the April to December 2025 rental amounts that were due. You were negating those and you were starting fresh in January, correct? Okay, and there was nothing that he needed to do for that to be done. That was just something that you offered.
Yes.
Okay, so we're starting payments in January of 2026.
Correct.
And that is for the $950. And then taking into account the February and March agreements that were not, in your opinion, they were not agreed. Well, he did not do his end of the bargain, basically. All right, so when was the last time that Mr. Borders paid the rent starting in January?
Starting in January, there were rent payments for the months of February and March, and partial payments of the amount of $600.
Okay, so January was not paid and April has not been paid as well?
Correct.
Okay, and is Mr. Borders still in the property?
Um, at the moment, no, but his stuff is still here. Yes.
Okay, so yes, all right, so through April the 7th. So you said he paid partially in February and March, and then the amount of $950 is due for April, and also the prorated amount through in the event that we do issue a writ through April the 14th. Is that correct? And then the February, March is in dispute, correct?
Yes.
All right, is there any, so you are asking for $350 for March, I'm sorry, let me start over, $950 for January, the remaining balance for February, which would be $350, the remaining amount for March, which would be $350, and then the prorated amount through April the 14th, correct? Does that sound right? Mr. Tassby?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that's 1650 plus, you said the rent amount is 950. There are 30 days in April. So that's 3166 a day times 14. All right, so that would be 1650 plus $443.24 due through April 14th for a total of $2,993.24. And are you asking for court costs as well, Mr. Tassby?
No.
Okay, so no court costs. All right. And you stated that there is evidence that you would like to present. Mr. Borders, did you receive a copy of the email with the evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
You said yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you have an opportunity to review it? I know it happens in court, but did you have an opportunity to review it?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any objection to me reviewing the documents? Any legal objection?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right, let me take a look at what you submitted. All right, actually, Ms. Campbell, if you could pull up the evidence that Mr. Tassby emailed me, and we'll just go through it.
Yes, ma'am. Hold on just one moment.
Thank you. We could start with the first page. Looks like there might be some text messages. Mr. Tassby, what do you want me to see in these messages as we scroll up?
So the first one, this is a response. That should be the second, I guess, screenshot. It would be a response to January asking when will I receive payment for the rent and addressing that it is about $950. This is a response from the tenant verifying that he is aware, and he essentially is responding to me telling him what the actual rate, the cost of rent is and everything.
Okay, can you show me the first page, Ms. Campbell? Just want to see. Okay. All
From
right.
where it was actually emailed, so I just attached the email.
Perfect, thank you. All right, if you can make it a little bit smaller for me, or if you could, the active screen tabs. Okay, I got it down. Okay, perfect. Text agreements, verifying the payment was aware. Okay. All right, scroll down for me. All right. And then
Do you only
Mr. Mr. Tassby, I don't see where you're saying he's responding to the amount. Where's the amount before that text message?
right? So in the email that I received, do you just have one screenshot on there, or is there the other four?
There's more.
Okay,
Okay,
so these are out of
so
order.
it should be.
Okay.
It should be the one that has the date January 5th on
Okay,
it.
there it is. Okay. Do that one. Okay. I'm not sure what I thought I sent. Okay. All right. Scroll down. Okay. Scroll down. All right. Okay. Scroll down. Okay.
So
That's
that's the
it.
end of that.
Okay.
One is part 2 of that text thread.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anything else you needed to present?
The other one that I wanted to present is there should be a like the receipts of payments from another tenant that I do have living in the house that shows that he has been paying rent every month and has had no problems essentially paying on time.
You said another tenant?
Yes.
Okay. How's that relevant to this case?
The relevance is that there is no issues with the parties. If everyone else can pay the rent, I don't see why there should be an issue or why I need to jump through hoops for a tenant who is not able to pay rent.
Okay. All right. I don't think that's a relevant issue here. Is there anything else you'd like to present, Mr. Tassby?
That should be it. Oh, the last one would be a screen capture from the leasing agreement, the initial leasing agreement that directly states how much is the rent is, and this was received at the start of the agreement, I guess, at the start of when he first moved in.
Okay, and is this a separate document that you emailed to the court, or is this part of the this email?
It should, and that one is, yeah, it should be in the same email.
Okay,
This was all that was in that email. The one from
So
4/2, this was the only thing. This was the actual entire email.
yes, so
okay,
it
I see
should
it.
be
It's at the
the
bottom. If you scroll looks like all the way down to after the text messages.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're stating this is a screenshot of the lease agreement?
Yes,
Okay.
just the yeah,
All right.
the
And
rights.
then the next page, Ms. Campbell. Late fees. Oh, and this is the other tenant?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You can minimize the exhibits. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Is there any other evidence that you would like the court to note, Mr. Tassby?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Borders to first ask if you have any questions for Mr. Tassby, or if you want to just give me your defense to this dispossessory.
I can just give my defense, Your Honor.
Okay, let me start with whether you believe this lease was written or oral, or a combination.
So the one discussed between me and him, oral.
Sure. I'm assuming that this is filed by Mr. Tassby. So yes, the lease between you and Mr. Tassby.
Yes. I
Is
was going
that
to say we had an oral agreement.
okay? Was there any part of it that was written?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so this is an oral lease in your opinion, and when did this oral lease begin?
So April of last year.
April 2025, and what was the
Oh
rent?
well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
do
it's okay,
that.
go ahead.
In technicality, January of this year, but I moved in and we discussed a lease in April.
But you discussed the lease in April 2025, and you moved in, however, you're stating that it actually began in January
Well,
2026
yes, with the payments
with
anyway.
payments. Got it. And what were the payments that were due beginning January 2026?
So we had an agreement of 600.
Okay, $600 per month. And was that with any concessions?
So I would be able to work on the house, pay 600 and work on the house by the request of maintenance.
And maintenance is someone different from Mr. Tassby?
Oh no, it would be him
Okay,
by the request of Mr. Tassby.
gotcha. All right. And was there anything included in your oral agreement regarding a washer and dryer?
No, ma'am. That was just something that came up, not
Okay,
necessarily overall. That the overall is the maintenance on the house.
okay. When you say that was something that came up, tell me about it.
I do different jobs, like
No, I'm
moving
sorry.
jobs and
The
oh,
washer and dryer portion.
yeah, it was going to be from a moving job that got canceled.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you on that then. Go
Oh
ahead,
no,
sir.
you're good. Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's just I told him about a washer and dryer that I was probably going to get in Ohio,
Mhm.
but the day before I left, they canceled the whole like trip itself.
Okay, so tell me about the conversation that you had with Mr. Tasby regarding the washer and dryer specifically.
Just I was about to get us a new washer and dryer.
Okay, us is who?
The house.
Okay, all right. And but that wasn't part of the conversation in regards to rent. So the rent amount of $600 you're stating was specifically just for maintenance and repairs.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
what I've always thought it was 600, and then I'll do whenever he requests any type of maintenance or anything. Then
got it. All right. And was any maintenance or repairs ever requested from you?
yes, ma'am, in the past for sure.
Okay, tell me about those.
So I have done a bit of electrical work in the house. It's been mainly upstairs and stuff like that. Plumbing and bathrooms and kitchen. Um, like simple repairs on the outside of the house, ceiling,
When you say
uh,
simple repairs, tell me what you did.
like like taking out rotten pieces of wood and stuff like that. Um, I repaired the rafters and the drain system for the roof. It's just, it's honestly, I've done a lot of handyman things.
Okay. And do you know what period of time you did these, the plumbing, electrical work, all the things that you named? Do you know when
It,
this was done?
uh, in a broad statement, I would say
Mhm.
it would have to be between April and November.
Okay, so before the January 2026 payment requirement.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess my first thought is you're testifying that you did not pay rent from April through December of 2025.
Yes, ma'am. He said that was just waived. I was having a hard time finding a job.
Okay. So those repairs and extra things that you did around the house, was that so that you did not have to pay rent from April through November?
I would assume so.
Okay. All right. And so did you do any repairs or renovations after January of 2026 or January and
I,
after?
I haven't been requested to.
So no repairs have been requested. Okay. All right. And what is your understanding if you did not have to do any repairs? Because the agreement, I guess, was for $600 per month in the event repairs or renovations were done. What was your understanding if there were no repairs or renovations needed?
I, as like I thought it was just that, like 600, and then I'm on standby to fix anything.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And when did you learn of the $950 that Mr. Tatsby is asking this court for
From me personally, or like another tenant?
from you?
I would say honestly that last text message at the end of March.
March of 2026?
Yeah, this past March.
Okay, so March 2026 is the first time you learned that Mr. Tasby is asking for a rent
The
amount
full amount.
of $950.
Yeah. And in our conversation, he didn't even mention January. So that January one is, it, I have no evidence on that one. But
Okay,
I do, he did come to me, well, he texted me and said he's going to need the 350 for February and the 350 for March.
okay. And what was your response?
We can talk about it. And we ended up talking about it.
Okay, the text message, when he stated that the rent was $950, did you respond to that in January?
Um, I don't think I did. I
Okay.
think we ended up talking of it like it's all verbal since we live in the same house, you know.
All right, let me ask you, I know this is a bit out of order, but I'm just trying to understand, Mr. Tasby, because the first text message does not show me a date, are you stating what date is that, from your understanding, Mr. Border's response saying I'm gonna have it all by Friday? This should be the last week check. Brother, what's the late fee? What date are you stating that that was sent? Because it's not on your evidence. And you can look as well, Mr. Borders, just to make sure that it's not different from what you show on your end. Do you have the date?
Yes.
Okay.
So the dates where there was a response was January 9th. And for the where he's saying that he's going to have it all by Friday, it's a response from for the rent for March 2nd.
Okay, let me pull it up just to make sure we're on the same page. All right, so you're saying that the response from Mr. Borders stating I'm gonna have it all by Friday, that was January the 9th?
That was a response on March 2nd. The response to the when I said so the rent is $950 a month and everything like that, his immediate next response was on January 9th.
On what date?
January 9th.
Okay, which
The one where I'm asked for, I state that the rent is $50 a month still, and it's
Yeah.
a bit of a long.
yes, I see that one. I don't see his response.
You said you don't see which one?
I see the Wednesday's January 7th, 7:20 message from you to Mr. Borders. I don't see the response from Mr. Borders. Did you
Okay,
attach
so let me
that?
send that one.
Okay.
That too. Hold on.
And if you could send it to Mr. Borders as well, so he can see what I see. Okay. Yeah, these messages are, so you do have the message from the
And I'm
response
trying to
from the January 9th?
and then I'm CCing Mr. Borders now.
Okay. And then while you're in your messages, if you could also send me the response. So let's see. All right, the response after the Friday, March 6th, 9:46 a.m. message. And then Mr. Tassby, if you could go ahead and send the response to could be the third email at this point. That will be the response to the March email where you asked him when he can send the other 350. Let me find the exact time again. Hold on a second.
For March 6th.
Yes, the March 6th, 9:46 a.m. text message. If you could send his response to that message.
There was no text response for that.
Okay. And on that March 6th date, it says just received your payment. What did you receive?
Let's see. Which date?
March 6th.
Oh, March 6th.
Mhm.
March 6th is when I received, let me check. That was when I received $600.
And that represented February or March, do you know?
That represented the month of March.
Okay, so did you receive 600 in February as well?
I did.
Okay. That's right. Okay, so you have partial payments. Okay, all right, and then we're just waiting on the response from the 950. And Mr. Borders, do you have this text message exchange in your text message as well?
Yes, ma'am, I should.
Okay.
I haven't deleted anything.
Okay, perfect. So in lieu of, maybe it could be a delay. If you could tell me what your response was to, let me get the date and time right. Okay, so there was a January 7th at 7:20. Looks like there was a message from Mr. Tassby. Can you get to that date, January 7th at 7:20 p.m.?
Yeah,
Okay, and that, what is your immediate response to that 7:20 p.m. text?
I said, I ended up picking up a job, brother. Give me some time and we will talk. I'm off Monday. I work nights this whole weekend. And he said, okay, no problem.
All right. All right, so there was no dispute of the $950? You said that
No,
the first time you heard about it was in March.
yeah.
So you heard about the 950 in January?
I mean, I've heard, like, not for me specifically, for the other tenant.
Okay, so it's when he says, so the rent is 950 a month still. You're saying that you didn't think that was for you?
Yeah, no.
Okay, he said it's not meant to be aggressive. We can talk about it tomorrow. So why would that be for another tenant?
Oh, I see what you mean. But like I said, it's a whole bunch of verbal agreements that aren't in the text. And
Oh,
then on the 16th, on Friday the 16th, I said, we discussed I was gonna send him 300, and then the next day I was sending him 300, or the next Friday I was sending him another 300 to complete my 600.
Okay.
Mm.
So you were advised that the rent was $950 on January 7th. And you said you received a new job, and then a month later you said you sent in the 600. I mean, a couple of weeks, I guess that would be a week later, maybe.
Oh well, yeah, maybe a week later ish, because
Okay.
we ended up talking at the house, so that's not gonna show up in the text messages.
Correct. Okay. And what was the conversation at the house?
The same, from what I believe, I thought it was still the 600, and then help around.
All right. So, but did you help around? You say you didn't have to help around any after January 2026?
It would just be small things, but I wasn't requested to do any actual like big thing.
Okay. All right. And then when it came back up in March, asking for the other 350, what was your response?
Find it real quick.
Oh, you said, yeah, what happened after that? It looks like there was no text message response to that conversation. So what was your response or the conversation you had in March? Because he asked for the same amount again. That was in January.
Oh, are you talking about where it says, lastly, can you send the 700?
Yes.
See, that kind of just, that I had to go talk to him again, because we keep having this discussion, but then he'll text me something, and then I'll be like, I thought we were saying this. And
Okay.
then it
So
will be that, I guess the conversations are just redundant at this point.
okay, so tell me about the conversation you had in March when he asked for the remaining amount.
Well, when he asked me that,
Yes.
that's kind of where we started. I can see butting heads, because I'm like, we discussed this amount, and now you're asking for the full amount from the past 2 months that we've already discussed is 600. And I
Okay.
do understand that he said I hadn't done like any big repairs, but also on the hand, with work and everything, he just honestly didn't ask me to do anything.
Okay. All right. And is there anything else from you, Mr. Borders?
No, ma'am.
All
Just
right.
trying to get it resolved. My
Understood.
first time doing all this and everything, and I'm like, yeah,
Understood.
I don't want an eviction on my file or anything like that. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. And you do still have property in the,
Yeah, I do still have some clothes and stuff
and you
over
also
there.
still have the key?
Yes, Tenant, yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Tassby, do you have any questions that you want to ask Mr. Borders?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. We'll do some quick calculations real quick. Mr. Borders, did you pay January of 2026?
No, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did. I paid 600.
You paid 600 in January, you paid 600 in February, and you also paid 600 in March?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have record of that 600 payment from January? Because I don't think he's crediting you for that.
Just had to look at. I mean, I do have the text, but hang on.
And now, and is that correct, Mr. Tasby? You're not crediting him for a payment in January, correct?
There was no $600 payment in January.
Okay. How were you paying?
Through either Cash App or Zelle.
Okay, so you're looking for a
Yeah.
January cash
Yeah,
app?
I'm looking for a January one, because I'm looking through our things, and it does. I was stated. I was like, I will give you 300 this Friday, and then 300 next Friday.
That was in January?
Yeah, that's in January. That's what I'm trying to. I'm sorry.
Yes. Mr. Tassby, did you request any repairs or renovations during the time of after January 2026?
Not that I can think of. Nothing new. I think the last request or repair was for the socket covers. And once I ended up doing it myself, I didn't ask for any more repairs for anything else for the house.
Okay, so you requested a repair and that I'm assuming was not done and you did it yourself?
Yeah.
I would like to say I did put on the socket covers
Okay, so there's a
in the
dispute of
office.
who did the socket covers? We're not agreeing on who did it?
Yeah,
So
I'm not agreeing on who did it because I have the text message of him saying he got the screwdrivers.
Mr. Tassby?
yes, he asked on several instances for him to go ahead and put the covers on the sockets for the office and for his bedroom so that there wouldn't be any open electrical wires. That didn't happen. So on one of the days when he was at work, I found the sock covers and I just went ahead and did them myself. I know this because I didn't realize that it was such a simple process, and I realized, oh, I really could be able, do this myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have it all.
And Mr. Borders, you're stating that did not happen at all?
I specifically remember putting on the covers. I don't
All
know
of
what to
them?
say.
Maybe y'all did some each.
Maybe not. I was gonna say it might have not been all of them, but I know I did the light switches for my room and the office.
All right,
Now, if
the light
there were
switches,
other ones,
that might be the issue because light switches and electrical covers are two different
yeah.
things. So are you saying you did the light switches and Mr. Tasby might have done the electrical covers?
He could have been putting them on like the wall sockets,
Right, this,
but I did do the light switches for
okay.
sure.
All right, so that's the difference. All right. And did you find the,
No, ma'am.
okay, so you don't.
I may have been mistaken.
Okay. All right, so and other than the light switches, is there anything else that was done post January 2026, Mr. Borders?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, Your Honor.
All right, and when did you do those light switches?
Maybe January, February.
Okay. And how many light switches would you say you put on?
It was just 3.
3. Okay. All right, so I will take that into account for January's rent, and that rent will be $900. February and March, you still owe a balance of $350. And also for April through April 14th, there's a balance due of $443.24. And that is the prorated amount. So I am going to issue a judgment in the amount of $2,043.24. No court costs added, and there will be a writ of possession that can be applied for as of April the 14th of this year. Are there any questions?
No,
Is
Your
there a way
Honor.
I could get is there payment plan options or anything like that?
Well, that is what you guys could have worked out in
After.
mediation. Anything after that, you just can reach out to him directly. All right. And you also have appeal rights within 7 days of my order. If you do want to appeal, it will be you have 7 days to appeal, okay? All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, good luck to you both, and you all are excused. Yes. I'm sorry.
I do have one question.
Yes.
So, if for any reason, I guess after everything is handled, if there's no, how would I go about maintaining the agreement, if would it go through the court and then I work with court, like he would pay the court, or does he pay me directly?
I think what you're asking me is if you reached what we call a post-judgment agreement with Mr. Borders on payment, that will be something that you all will handle through by yourselves. The court wouldn't be involved in that.
Okay.
About the agreement, is there a set date that I would have to leave?
Yeah, so he can apply for writ of possession as of April the 14th at 11:59 p.m.
Oh, he can't. Okay, so okay.
And then after the writ of possession is signed by the judge, then Mr. Tassby would have to take that to a proper authority that's authorized to have the eviction process taken out. So I can't give you a set date on when they will appear, if that makes sense.
No, that's totally fine, Your Honor.
And do you know if there's a timeline or a buy date? So if we do this and say the timeline is like 2 years, is there any due date, I guess?
I'm pretty sure a judge is not going to sign a writ 2 years after the judgment.
Well, I mean, like after, not for the writ, but I just mean more so for
execution
any unpaid. Yeah, like
any unpaid fee.
He's referencing the judgment.
The judgment, okay. So, okay, anything that's not, so you'll have a judgment today. So once I sign that, you have a judgment. Anything that's paid from Mr. Borders after that is just going to decrease the judgment amount that you have. So if he pays $100, you still have a judgment in the amount of, that's probably bad because of the way. Okay, if he pays $43.24 and that's all he pays, you'll still have a judgment in the amount of $2,000. So you can execute that judgment how you wish, but you already have the judgment. So anything that he's pays is just paying down the judgment. If I'm answering your question.
okay.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Tassby? All right. Well, you all are.
No, Your Honor.
And again, you'll receive a copy of my order in your email.
All right.
Okay.
All right, well, have a good one.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.